Coach, style of play for Oklahoma State and who are players to watch in their squad?
Uh, First of all, they're extremely well coached. Mike Boynton, I've always thought does a great job. He really does. I think their game plan is to get up as many threes as they can. The Javon Smalls kid, the point guard, uh, is their best player. Now they have a 6'11" freshman who I think is on the same path that JoJo Tugler's on. I think he's going to be dynamite. I mean, they've done an awesome job of building their roster with young kids, and they're letting them play. And this late in the year, their young kids are really playing well. But Smalls, then they have a kid that scored 2,000 points on the same night that Hunter Dickinson scored his 2,000 points at Kansas. Oklahoma State played there. So John Michael Wright, 2,000-point scorer. Javon Smalls. They've got a kid named Quincy Williams who's kind of a unicorn. He's a 6'5", four-man, about 220. Not an outside shooter necessarily, but impacts the game with his athleticism, his effort, and his toughness. He had 17 and 10 Saturday against Kansas State. Then their size, 6'11" kid inside, Brandon Garrison, does a good job. They were playing the Keller kid, who's a freshman. They played him a lot. He had 12 points in their win against Kansas State, another three-point shooter athlete. So to answer your question, Chris, they spread you. They've got great movement on the weak side. Sometimes they'll feel behind the cutter. Sometimes the shooter will get we call it a Spanish screen, which is a flare screen on the sideline. So they run a lot of good motion. Sometimes it's to get a shot. Sometimes it's false. But well designed. They do a good job. I think, people have a tendency to look at a record or look at a moment and make a judgment on it. Now, they don't have a great record, but they were up 15 on TCU. They beat West Virginia. They beat Kansas State. They lost at the buzzer to Baylor, lost at the buzzer to TCU. They've had about 5 games that they could have won. They've only been beat one time, and that was at Kansas. That's the only time they've really been beat. They've been in the game with every team they play.